All right, let's talk about South Florida real estate. Is the market hitting the brakes or is it secretly heating up? Because honestly, what's happening in August 2025 is sending some seriously mixed signals. I mean, on one hand, you've got all these signs of a major cool down. But on the other, you're hearing stories of a market that just refuses to quit. So, what is really going on? Okay, let's dive in and try to make sense of it.
And this right here is the core of the problem. It's a total contradiction. We're seeing headlines that South Florida is literally #1 in the entire country for sellers pulling their homes off the market, because they're frustrated they can't get those peak 2022 prices. But then, at the exact same time, we're hearing reports of bidding wars. Yeah, bidding wars, popping back up in that super popular mainstream price range. So, how can both of these things be true? To figure that out, we've got to look at each side of the story, and we'll start with the case for a cool down.
And believe me, there is a mountain of data suggesting that the absolute frenzy of the last few years is, well, it's officially over. It really looks like the balance of power is shifting, and it's shifting fast.
Okay, look at this number. The sheer scale of the change is what's just staggering here. A 123% increase in the number of homes for sale in just 1 year. That's not a trickle, that's a flood of new inventory. And when buyers suddenly have more than double the options to choose from, you better believe the entire market dynamic changes. Sellers just can't name their price anymore.
And that inventory surge has a direct consequence, right? Homes are simply taking longer to sell. We're talking an average of 80 days on the market, up from 56. That's more than 3 extra weeks that sellers have to wait and hope and wait some more. It's a crystal clear sign that the days of those weekend bidding wars and instant sales are, for a lot of people, a thing of the past.
And this isn't just about market dynamics either. There's another story bubbling up, one of financial strain. The fact that Florida has the second highest foreclosure rate in the entire country, well, that adds another really important layer to this whole cool-down narrative. It tells us that some homeowners are genuinely struggling, which could end up pushing even more properties onto that already growing pile of inventory.
And then you have the chief economist for the National Association of Realtors putting an official name on it. He's not just calling it a slowdown, he's calling it a price correction. And he's specifically pointing his finger at Florida. The reason? A huge surge in new home construction has finally started to boost the supply and take some of the pressure off. So case closed, right? The market is correcting. Well, not exactly.
So let's flip the script and look at the other side of the argument. Because while all that cool-down data is very real, it definitely doesn't paint the whole picture. There are these undeniable pockets of the market that are still running incredibly hot.
I mean, it's the multi-billion-dollar question, isn't it? If the market is truly in a correction, why on earth would developers be getting financing for new 24-story towers and launching sales for these ultra-luxury yacht-branded condos? It just seems to fly in the face of all the data we just looked at.
And the answer is pretty wild. South Florida isn't one single market anymore. It's at least 2. You've got the luxury segment, we're talking homes over $1 million in places like Boca Raton, and it's still being described as hot. It's totally fueled by wealthy buyers relocating from out of state. Meanwhile, the mainstream market, it's seen as holding steady. It's not crashing, but it's not exactly booming either. It's like they're on 2 different planets.
And the evidence of this strength just keeps piling up. You see developers confidently plowing ahead with these massive projects. You see condo sales in Miami-Dade topping $121 million in a single week. And then, here's the most confusing data point of all. Despite that massive inventory surge we talked about in Broward County, the total number of homes sold there actually went up compared to last year. How is that possible? How do we make sense of all this?
This is it. This is where we solve the puzzle. The South Florida market isn't just cooling down, and it's not just heating up. It's doing both at the exact same time. It is rebalancing into 2 very, very different realities. And the key to understanding it all is one simple economic term.
A bifurcated market. That's the term. That's what unlocks this whole mystery. It just means the market has split in 2. The high-end and the mainstream parts of the market are now moving in completely different directions, and they're being driven by totally different forces.
And you can see this split even when you zoom in on a single neighborhood. Take Miami Springs, for example. A full 40% of all the homes for sale there are over $1 million. There's a glut of high-end houses. But what if you're looking for an entry-level home, something under $600,000? Good luck. Only 2% of the listings fit that description. So you've got this severe shortage at the bottom and a massive surplus at the top.
So, why is this happening now? Well, it's basically a perfect storm.
You've got sellers who are still mentally stuck on those crazy pandemic-era prices, and that's leading them to pull their listings. Then you've got that new construction boom adding more supply, which is causing the price correction. You've got wealthy buyers who frankly aren't bothered by interest rates and they just keep moving here. And finally, you have this intense affordability crunch that's forcing everyone else to compete for the very few lower-priced condos available, which explains why the total number of sales can still go up. Suddenly, all those conflicting data points actually make perfect sense.
So, with all that said, what does this new, bifurcated, kind of weird normal actually mean for you? If you're looking to buy or sell in this very complicated market.
Okay, for buyers, the playbook has totally changed. You now have leverage, especially in that mid to high end of the market. You need to use that massive inventory to negotiate hard, and definitely look into assistance programs like Hometown Heroes, which is a state fund that can give you up to $35,000 in down payment help if you're in certain professions. It can make a huge difference. Now, for sellers, the key word is realism. You have to price your home for August 2025, not 2022, and be patient because it's probably going to take longer to sell, and those frantic, over-ask bidding wars are now the exception, not the rule.
So what we're really seeing here isn't a crash. It's a great rebalancing. It's a much more complex, more nuanced market. And it leaves us with one giant question for the future. After all those years of being a seller's paradise, has the balance of power in South Florida real estate finally, actually shifted for good? I guess only time will tell.